Hello, everyone. I hope you all had a good day so far. It's been a very active day for me, and it'll be a very busy day for me. I hope you guys liked the video, and I'm very grateful to be here with some Twilight Struggle developers to showcase the mod and answer any questions you guys have. Keep in mind that everything's a work in progress. We're not going to this is work in progress build. They see bugs and borders, they'll change and things like that. But hi, Justin and Britt. But let's introduce everybody. So I'm here with Indy, and Indy, if you could introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do on the mod, that'd be great.
Hello, my name is Indy. I'm the lead developer for Twilight Struggle. I basically oversee most of what goes on in the mod. I am a pretty engaged coder with most of the worlds. I'd say I work on basically the whole world from time to time, but the main countries I develop are the USSA and Italy.
Cool, thank you. And Umut, if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Mut. I'm a lead developer in the Twilight Struggle team. I mainly work on Middle East.
Cool. And then Orange is here as well. If you could introduce yourself, that'd be cool.
Hi, I'm Orang. I'm the head of the Asia, regional leads. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so why make Twilight Struggle at all? I think is the first and most burning question I have for all you.
Well, I noticed that when the first two Kaiserreich Cold War mods kind of fizzled out, there was a lot of disappointment in the community of Kaiserreich. And it felt like to me, I consider myself like a fan of Kaiserreich, like one of the original, like one of a huge fan of it, like one of the biggest, because I respect it greatly. I feel like it's very important as like a creation within this whole community. But I wanted to sort of do justice to something, but it also comes from a timeline I had created for fun in my head, where I kind of created my own Kaiserreich headcanon, where several things happened, such as that are in the mod, like the USSA winning, the Germans winning in continental Europe, but not beating Britain or Russia fully. As well as things like the Japanese being a democracy, or there being some sort of democracy in the East as like a third faction. And Russia is also from that period where I kind of created a headcanon in my mind.
Cool.
But eventually, oh yeah, you can go ahead.
No, you can keep going. I don't have anything else to add.
Eventually, I sort of I wanted to make this because I wanted to bring to life something that had been in my head for so long and that had been burning in me for a while, but also because I felt like it was a good opportunity to, with a lot of the previous attempts at Kaiserreich Cold War mods kind of fizzling out or failing or seemingly not being accepted by the community. So I wanted to try my own hand at it, and it's gone really well so far. That's what I want to say. It's gone really well.
Yeah, it's something that I'm really impressed about too, because the vibe is definitely there. It feels like it's like you could make comparisons to TNO, Call to Krieg, Krasnot, all those things, and I'm sure that there's some elements that you can point to, but the more I look at the world, the more I see that it's just its own thing and it can stand on its own. So I'm really excited to see what you guys take going forward with this. But I think that on this branch there's no trees for Germany and Austria, right? Because I was looking at their trees and there's nothing. So just wanted to make sure. And disclaimer.
Yeah, we don't have this branch does not have trees for anything besides Russia, really, but it doesn't really have icons. Yeah. We had to use a different branch due to technical difficulties, essentially.
Cool.
But we do have, I think, part of the Italian tree on there, as well as part of the USSA tree, which should have a lot of its icons in, but not most, or not all, at least.
Yeah, I see at least the outlines for the Italy tree and the Russian People's Redemption Government. This is I really like the icons that you guys do have here. This is pretty cool. So what can I show? What can I show people with on this branch while we talk about other things?
I think if you want, you can run the game.
Okay, well let's give it a shot.
I've speed it up.
There's going to be errors. It's going to rapidly increase. Just don't mind that. It's very normal in Hearts of Iron 4 modding. People almost have competitions.
It's the infamous error with Bulgarian ideas. It needs to detect if there's a certain idea it has, and it does not exist in this mod.
It looks like every frame that it's calculating, there's just another. It's just funny how many can we get. Oh, yeah, so check it out. So this French West African collapse. This was this is an idea that you guys had to like showcase the collapsing order of Germany, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Cool. What if
it's a very early game conflict?
Yeah. What if French Africa wins?
It can win sort of a partial victory. Sky knows more about this. It wins a partial victory. And it establishes like new dominions in certain areas.
Sierra Leone.
Yeah, Mali usually falls.
Yeah, cool. No, please, you cut me off if you have to, because you guys know more about this than me. So.
Oh yeah, so it establishes like a West Africa government. It establishes like an apartheid state in Senegal, and it does a few other things. But it has to like release most of them eventually, or figure out like a new federation idea, like a proper federation for the West African colony.
Cool.
That actually better integrates the colonial governments and the local tribes.
They're kind of like the French Union of our history.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's great. I'm excited for the Mediterranean War. It'll show up soon, right? Or is it like
That's 1962.
1962. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that. So, Umut, I'd like to talk about the Ottoman Empire before we get into the Mediterranean War, and we can see how it currently is implemented. So, yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead.
All right. So, from what I understand, the Ottoman Empire won 2 world wars. The Egyptians, they lost the Egyptians 5 years before the start date. They have overlordship over Azerbaijan, but Germany has the oil there.
Yes.
And then that's all I really know. Oh, look, there's a South Africa war. That's pretty cool. But anyway, go ahead for Ottoman stuff.
So the Ottoman lore timeline in like very simple details. They go the OHP path with Kemal, and they do a relatively well job until the start of the Levant crisis, which is the current name of the war with Egypt. They win it are in around a year because like we did not want this war to be too grandiose or too long, so that we can shift to the next segment of the war. After the victory against Egypt is made into a Caliph. Sudan is made independent as a separate puppet state, and Iran loses some of its domains, including South Azerbaijan, but otherwise they remain independent. And in Arabia, the Rashidis wins against the Saudis, and they stay loyal to the Ottoman Empire. Yemen is also defeated in the revolt, but due to the centralization of the empire, the empire feels the necessity to make them a separate puppet as well. Otherwise, it would be too problematic to rule Yemen from such a distant capital. After the end of the Levant crisis, OHP pursues its last goals. Kemal dies around 44. And after him, his successor, Ismet, comes to power. It sees a transition to democracy, but not entirely. Eventually, an opposition group called the Liberal Party, founded by ex-OHF members that are more capitalistic and liberal, essentially, as well as conservative, win the 1951 elections against OHF, and they start the liberalization of the empire. The current branch we are on does not have the party names, so currently it is seen as HIF, which was the historical liberal opposition party to the ITF, which was the party that saw Ottomans join the Great War. Regardless, the 10 years under LP regime sees a significant decentralization of the empire. If you check our voice chat, you may see the administrative map that I made. Essentially, the empire is divided into 3 core regions. The provinces, they are unitary and very centralized regions of the empire, which are the modern-day Turkish borders, as well as Thrace, Aegean Islands, Cyprus, and north of Syria and Iraq. And the majority of the rest of the Arab regions are made into a reinvention of the old Ottoman administrative system called Vilayet, where they have more autonomy, for example, having their own local assemblies and mayors having more rights and responsibilities in the constitution. And lastly, there are özerk vilayets, which is essentially just autonomous zones. There are 3 autonomous zones, one in Armenia, one in Assyria, and one in Lebanon. These autonomous zones has their own local militia forces, they have their own grand parliament, meaning their own lower house, and a more free liberties that rest of the empire that doesn't have. So essentially, by the 1960s, the empire is divided into these 3 core regions that sees the mix of the centralist thought, the merkeziyetçilik thought, and the gayri-merkeziyetçilik rhetoric that was the main point of discussion regarding the reformation of the empire during its hardships. And the reason why Egypt becomes independent is tied to the LP regime. The LP regime was, let's say, a conservative party, that is to say, which was not something the military liked. And the military is very powerful politically in the Ottoman Empire, similar to real-life Turkey. And this caused fears among the leaders of LP that if the army is set loose on a conflict, it might backfire into a coup, because the military wanted to do a coup right at 1951 when they won the election, but İsmet Pasha refuses it because he wants to keep the democracy afloat. So in 1955, the young officer group seizes the control of Cairo and eventually deposes Abbas's son and then proclaims their own republic. And this sees the independence of Egypt. Aside from this, there has been a significant revolt in Central Asia that sees a monumental change, and all this results in LP having a weak foreign policy that will see them not do good in the elections. And what you just saw is the Cyprus conflict. The Cyprus conflict is a different conflict compared to our lifetime. In real life, Cypriots fought for their independence against Greece, against British. However, after their independence, the new Cypriot government had a constitution that gave very generous rights to the Turkish minority, which was seen as problematic by the Greek government in Cyprus. And also, the Greek junta government wanted to achieve enosis, which is the unification of Cyprus. This eventually results in Greek junta sporting a coup against the Cypriot government, which sees Turkey invading Cyprus to protect their Turkish minority. Here, it's a bit of the different way around. The OHF, both in Kaiserreich and here, had a goal of Turkifying a significant portion of the Ottoman Empire, and this includes the island of Cyprus. If any of the players, the viewers, have played Ottomans, they will see that OHF has an option to send tens of thousands of Turks to Cyprus to colonize it. This policy continues well up to 1953, so which sees Cyprus becoming significantly more Turkish, but also a very high tension in the region. The Cyprus has been suffering from street fights as well as militia battles between two ethnic groups since 40s, and this eventually results in tensions rising so high. The Greek government presses the Ottoman Empire regarding their previous colonial activities, and Italy, who wants to create their own empire in the Mediterranean Sea, sees this as a good way to start a war. So they put their entire weight on Greece, as well as making a secret pact with the Egyptian Republic to divide up the Eastern Mediterranean by defeating the Ottoman Empire. So this is how this war boils up to, and the Ottoman timeline up to 1960 in short.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you for so much detail. And it's good that you finished right up when the war starts to escalate.
Yeah, right as we are about to lose.
Yeah, that's good. That's good timing. I think in this branch there's no divisions for the Cyprus or the KPA, which is interesting. But
yeah, there will be a mission.
Yeah,
there will be a mission for both Greeks and Ottomans about the conflict in Cyprus, where Greece can send sports and equipments to Cypriots to create their divisions to fight against Ottomans. Meanwhile, the Ottomans has to first deal with a period of chaos because the government did not expect this at all. Mm-hmm. But eventually they are able to send forces to Cyprus, and that's how the previous Battle of Cyprus happens. And after that, the real war starts.
Yeah, Italy just took Constantinople, so that's interesting.
Yeah, this is one of the earlier branches. So Ottomans are pretty much what they are in 1936 Kaiserreich. So like the population, equipment, etc. So they are pretty easy to defeat right now. In the actual game, it will be a more bloody battle.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's kind of I've played it when it's been updated, and it's pretty fun actually as Italy to bring the Ottomans down. There's a few mechanics you have, like trying to raise tensions with Arabs, trying to get like there was this guy that I can't remember the name of, but he was nicknamed the Devil's Commander.
Oh yeah.
There was this guy nicknamed the Devil's Commander in
it is a focus
Italy.
Here
he was kind of like the Lawrence of Britannia, but Lawrence
Arabia.
of Arabia. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a reference to old Kaiserreich where he could become Lawrence of Britannia, and
I remember that.
The monarchy.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the scenario where the Italy wins.
Oh, they even take Iraq and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the war spoils are still being discussed, but it is clear that Italy will gain Iraq and the Gulf region.
Mm-hmm.
The Constantinople and the Syria is a topic of discussion. We are planning on the Syria being dependent on who conquers it. So it can go either to Egypt or Italy. But even if let's go to the next one.
Yeah. But basically the takeaway is that there's win conditions and lose conditions for this. So
and the spoils can differ.
Yeah, and there's scripted peace deals and stuff, so it's not just you win the entire thing. So, and then there's a second phase and everything too. But look, so here we have the recently teased Ostpact War, where the eastern satellite states of Germany fight and try to suppress a third attempt for a Russian republic. Could you talk a little more about that? Anybody who would know better? Hi, Term.
Yeah. I'd say that. What do you want to know in specifics?
Well, that's a good question. Like, what sort of outcomes are there? Like, what if the Ospact
the main reason. for this war, I'd say about this war, what I want to establish is that it's very important for giving Eastern Europe something to do. It's very conductive to sort of content in that area. But I'd also say that the Russian Republic, it's also sort of kind of fitting with the timeline, with the way the Poles and Ukrainians would feel about Russia and how they're so quick to respond to any sort of Russian aggression or Russian expansion. Because the setup for this is that Ivan Mikhailov is the current president of Russia at start, but he's sort of a German puppet, and he is overthrown eventually by
Yuri Andropov.
Yuri Andropov, that's right.
Yeah.
And he's kind of helped by Andrei Vlasov at the same time. But once they're in power, they sort of start taking a new course away from Germany, and they try to militarize the country to be, powerful again. And eventually, they want to conquer all of Russia. So that includes the. Oh, did they go Andreev? That's so funny. Russia went Andreev.
This enlightened realm of Zenvergrad. I was worried. I was worried about like this being something I wasn't supposed to see, so I just tried to like hide the screen and not mention it. But yeah,
that's hilarious that it went that path and during the stream. I thought it would go like Voska Boynik or something.
So this guy, I'm assuming this is a quote unquote schizopath, right, for Russia?
Yes, very schizo.
I can tell with the crown of thorns.
Crown.
Yeah, so that
yes.
Well that's very interesting. I get a little Lore exclusive here, yeah. But yeah, so this Russia thing, it's a good, well-paced conflict happens at a certain scripted time right after the Mediterranean War should resolve. Seems like it's balanced decently well too, where they're making advances in Ukraine, but that's because of the geography. Here it's a little more different. Yeah, this looks really cool. So what happens if Russia wins the Ostpact war? Can Germany get involved?
So, if they try to press any further, they're scripted right now, I think, on that branch to just accept whatever Germany demands. But if they try to advance past a certain point, Germany will like try to tell them that, hey, you need to stop, or else we'll invade you or attack you. And the player can choose to either accept or just get a peace deal. And the peace deal will have them taking certain lands, you'll see.
Cool.
But they'll take like southern Ukraine and Belarus.
Yeah, that's in the teaser, right? So it's not like, yeah. So people can check out your Discord or Reddit and see the Ospact War teaser and see the outcomes for that. Cool. And then the United States of America. This is the Alaska War, right?
The problem with that one right now is it doesn't really function properly.
Because of the AI issues, or
the AI doesn't really want to naval invade it. Yeah. Like you can play it just fine, and it's actually pretty cool to play, but the AI just doesn't like naval invading.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be hard to find a way to balance that out.
You can. I know how to do it. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, fair enough. But this is cool. And I see Quebec became free from Canada.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Cool.
I didn't expect that to happen on stream.
Yeah. And then somebody commented about Romania being landlocked. Yeah. I think it would be cool to have a escalation mechanic for the Mediterranean War, but it's up to you guys to decide if you want to implement it or not. But
I kind of like it now. Because I do in one way want a war in Europe. I don't know how to make it happen, but I want a war in Europe that doesn't involve like every single power at once. But I do want some kind of war in Europe. There is a way for Austria to attack Italy.
Cool.
Sorry, did Finland just disappear?
Yes. Here's Jofiel tuning in, and yeah, Russia took over Finland and Ukraine and Belarus. Yeah, Russia's popping off over here. So
yeah, once they go to extensive conscription, they don't really lose anymore. It's just manpower.
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. But we'll see what happens here. But what else should we talk? I want to quickly Balkan Crusade. That's an interesting. That's an interesting.
Oh, so basically, Italy tries to gather all. They basically try to inspire legionary movements in the Balkans and try to rally the Balkan nations against Austria for a war against Austria, which is sort of old. We might not go with that route. Rather, that, as I said earlier, we're going to have Austria be attacking Italy, and Italy will be trying to sort of dismantle Austria by creating, by sowing dissent, sponsoring legionary movements, trying to inspire nationalists within the USGA, and eventually trying to cause a sort of Yugoslav-style collapse, basically. Like the Danubian Wars instead of the Yugoslav Wars.
Awesome.
I thought that was clever.
Love that.
There's a limited victory there for the Russian Republic. You can see that they've gained most of Belarus. They've gained Murmansk back alongside Crimea in the southern Ukraine.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool how this is scripted in. Interesting that there's direct good relations here, but that might be something else. And then we have a Zvenograd going in over here. It seems like they're supposed to take this though. Were they indeed?
Where were they? What did they take?
Military government over here.
Did they take land in Siberia?
I think they took this land, but not that. So I can.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah,
I'll just quickly fix that. Yeah. It's just a typical thing, or I could just annex Siberia.
That's like a bug, basically. That's like a bug. I've seen it a few times in Russia, where they don't take.
Yeah, like we said, this is a in progress development build, a stable branch, but yeah, stuff like this happens.
I think we missed the India War.
Oh yeah, a little bit. There was a Pakistan, and they were also, I think, fighting Burma, or maybe not Burma, but maybe there's a Bengal revolt. Bangladesh. Yeah. Oh, there's a war between Tibet and
border skirmish.
It's a border conflict. That's interesting. Oh, and look, there's several border conflicts.
Oh,
whoa.
Jesus!
This is interesting.
What happened?
Tibet is losing.
China is taking over Tibet through.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow! Look at that.
I actually kind of like the way that works in terms of using the border conflicts in sequence.
Yeah,
I actually quite like that a lot.
That's
that's cool.
I really like that idea. Yeah, and then there goes the enlightened round of Zen. It
communicates a sense of terror, actually, that China is just sort of, which it feels more accurate than just like the silly things that divisions end up doing a lot of the time. It's communicates a sense of terror of, this is just a military intervention, bang, bang, bang, and they're gone.
Yeah, and more accurate to how it would actually unfold in real life too.
Exactly.
And there's a little syndicalist revolt here in Vladivostok too. That's cool. But yeah, so what should we talk about next? Oh yeah, there was a question that some random Brit asked. He asked if my video on Kampf gegen Barbarei had any effect on working on the mod.
Other than me seeing a comment by you where you mentioned the Germans owning too much, like you showed a map at one point in like a stream of it, or like in the video itself, of them having both Azerbaijan oil and all the British Isles under their control. And even there, I agreed with you. So I kind of tried to veer away from doing what they did there by making Germany a little too strong. But that was about it. I kind of had conceived the idea on my own without really caring about Kampf gegen Barbarei. I remember trying to join the Kampf gegen Barbarei team, and they said no at the time. So.
And now they aren't around.
Yeah, they aren't around lamb.
Yeah, there you go. And then I got another one from Ideal Kangaroo. He's asking, why doesn't the Baltic Free State join the Ospact?
Because it is basically part of Germany in lore. And basically in game 2, it's an integrated puppet type.
Yeah.
Which is why it has the same color. But it's part of Germany, technically. It's very bound to Germany. So it getting involved would mean Germany is basically getting involved.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's like a dominion instead of a associated state with heavy influence, like the Ukrainian state.
Yeah, right? If Germany was, obviously, yeah, if the Baltic state got involved, like the Baltic Free State got involved, Germany would be even let's say they overran Narva, or they start pushing into Latvia. Absolutely, that's when Germany goes, all right, that's it, and then Russia will just get stomped.
Yeah, Russia would not. Germany would not want to surrender Riga in particular to the Russians.
Yeah, makes sense given
at least the Russian Republic is kind of, you know, it was still, even if it's still technically not their puppet, like they've got other things to deal with. Two, they can't just, you know, like we're sort of in the period where you can't just snap your fingers and suddenly world war. That's not how this works anymore. So they have to bite the bullet sometimes, like most powers do in this period. Sometimes it requires, you know, sometimes you end up with crazy stuff, like when Ethiopia and Somalia changed sides during the Cold War at the same time, and then kept fighting.
I'll have to keep that in mind for my my video on my second part of Krasnodar.
Oh, what happened? Yeah. What happened in South Africa?
It seems like South Africa, the Union, the syndicalists got subjugated by the Germans. So we have a puppet state here in Natal. So that's interesting. We got a question. When will the mod release? And I think that Umut already answered it. 200 weeks. Right?
Yeah, plus
200 weeks from now, plus
about
1,000 every time it's asked. Yeah, the little higher than the Kaiserreich usual answer, so that's interesting. But yeah, so basically, if I had to give the usual answer, is that because what was this? China is declaring independence against Japan.
Yes. Oh, is that happening now?
Yeah, it's happening now.
Okay, cool.
Oh wow! In the Shan state, yeah. Who can talk about this? This is really cool.
Shan state. So in real life, so Shan is this region in Burma where there's basically a lot of drug trafficking, especially in the Cold War. And there was a warlord from the KMT who took over the region, and I can't remember his name right now. Khunsa, yeah. Khunsa was like this KMT warlord who took over the region and sort of set up like a independent Shan state, sort of. Not really. It was like inside of Burma still, but he was basically both a figure of, I want to say, patriotism kind of ish for the Shan people, but also he in reality was a giant drug kingpin and trafficked a lot of things across Indochina.
Well, that's a why is Cyprus divided in two again? That's quite interesting.
I think it's because there was the
war doesn't resolve.
With the resolve. Yeah, the war didn't resolve properly this branch.
It should have normally went to Greece by now.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm sure it'll be fixed before release. But yeah, so now China's going full independence. They have allies in the Shan and Kachin, even if Shan's like a glorified drug running business.
Well, Shan is actually Shan is technically more of a real country than Kachin because Kachin is more of a region. I might not keep that one. That's kind of in there just to balance things for now.
Okay.
But Kachin is more like it's like a valley region with a lot of people in it. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not really like its own
national identity.
Maybe a lot of smaller groups in there.
It's like a culture. Yeah, it's like made up of a bunch of little groups. Yeah, it's like a region with full of little groups.
Okay, cool.
But Shan is more of its own thing. There is a Shan people sort of ish, like cultural group.
God, China is just absolutely kicking their ass.
Yeah. I'm sure balance will change before everything else happens.
Wait, is China actually winning? I never see China win.
China's very much winning on this branch.
They've completely they've curb stomped Indochina effectively. Korea's even like losing some chunks.
I'm getting a lot of questions about Russia, this Zvenograd path. If we could quickly address it before moving on.
Sure.
So
you want me to explain what it is?
Yeah, actually, I have no idea. I don't know.
Daniil Andreev. He is this man who was considered insane by the Soviets, and he wrote a bunch of books about why we needed to create a new religion that encompassed all new religions. Or all current existing religions.
And he just invaded Russia and Germany.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So not only Russia, but also Germany. Even though Russia is not a part of Germany, he did both. So you can tell he's
the most most sane Cold
Russian
War guys. Yeah.
Most insane Russian dictator.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So
he had this whole religion he created where he claimed to have first been born in Atlantis, but he's really interesting. He didn't have like a huge following in real life, but here he's sort of someone that's already considered like the radical option. So he basically got the most radical dude, but he's actually not like that evil. Basically,
he's not evil. He's just a absolute lunatic.
Yeah.
Just the warmonger.
There's a difference, yeah. Cool. That's interesting. So I'm glad we got to show that on stream. But it seems like this is just the typical China doesn't want to be subjugated to Japan, so they fight. But is there any other element to this that we should be aware of?
None that are coded in right now. Sometimes there are what I plan is that there's a way for Japan to try to inspire revolts in China, or for warlords to try to break away from the Beijing government, and therefore to be like an East Turkestan uprising, and therefore to be other things.
Because this is obviously extremely taxing for China. This is them throwing everything they can into the meat grinder, very much like the KMT of our own timeline. You know, to the point, like the KMT post-World War with Japan was just such a wreck. It was, you know, it obviously completely fell apart after the war. But the idea that, like, you know, China has whipped itself up into this nationalist fervor of, this is it. We're never getting another chance. This is it. So they are doing everything they can. They are like doing the British thing where just like, oh, you've got some metal guardrails? Sorry, you're losing all of those and now being fed into guns. Like they just strip everything down. And this is obviously going to start breeding resentment should it not get results. And even if it does get revolt results, if it goes on too long, people are going to burn.
Yeah.
Like people are going to burn out and they're going to start rioting, protesting, refusing to work in the same way that the KMT began to just sort of melt.
Wow.
After sort of... Oh, yeah, they're burning.
I would like to inform people that Andreev also declared war on Italy.
Wait, what? Yeah, this is not going.
This is crazy.
Bro is.
This is not what I intended.
Italians at the peace treaty.
Yeah,
that's not what I intended.
Yeah, that's okay. This is really cool. Some people in the chat are asking if we can reset the game. So should we like? Is there a peace deal with China that we can see, or any content beyond this?
Oh yeah, do you want to see the peace deal with China?
Yeah, sure. How do I do that?
Tag switch to China.
Okay.
Open the console.
Tag chai. Yeah.
Then open the console, type in event.
Yeah.
Jap in all caps.
Yeah.
Underscore chai in all caps.
Yeah.
.2. Like
.2?
period 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dragon swallows the sun.
Yo, hello.
Hi.
That is I forget how good that tool. I do like that as like a sort of victory quote.
Yeah. That is really good. So this is a
Reminds me
scripted
of
deal for
Apophis.
China.
Egyptian mythology.
This is
Yeah.
very fucking early. I wouldn't like say like.
Yeah, I'm sure things will change, but this is one of the currently scripted in peace deals, so that's pretty cool.
Actually, Indy, something I actually think we could bring up for some fun is like obviously with the great Asia War sort of analog here. I don't know what have we called it in this timeline?
No, war for national emancipation.
So I would love to have a bunch more resistance movements on both sides. Like I think the Vietnamese obviously could have something really interesting there that's sort of hampering Japanese efforts.
Oh, you know what we thought of? Is that the Malaysians, if the Malaysians had already won like their first war, if they could like try again to like attack Indonesia and Thailand another time and try to expand while Japan is distracted with China.
What we want to do, I think, is just we want to add more and more ways to diversify the conflict. This is like people forget, East Asia, fun fact, quite big. And so we want to have it so that it really does feel like almost its own world war with all these groups that are all involved. I don't know how far we'll go with it, Indy. That's up to you guys. I'm just the Brit dev. But that's what I hope to see at least. And I think that's what we're thinking of seeing. Right?
Yeah. Basically, it's gonna have like a lot of sides switching around, like especially in Indochina with Laos and Shan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Sadly, the British content is not very much in at the minute, so there's not too much to have a look at. I hope Bevan's still not there. Or is he chilling?
Who in Britain?
Oh, there he is. Yeah,
Bevan?
no.
Yeah.
So Britain, by the time of basically like about a year after start date, he's gonna leave, and the whole thing opens because he's been prime minister. He's been not prime minister. I think premier is the term we went with. He's been premier for about 10 years, and Britain's like arguably the most democratic of the.
Fourth
It's not fully
International.
democratic. Yeah, of the international. So you end up with this very interesting situation where there's kind of Labour, there's like all the different groups in Labour who are punching each other to get the position, and then there's like groups that are technically with Labour that kind of want to push Labour into a moderate direction and like ally with them to end socialism or transform socialism. Like there's a lot of different. Britain has like a very interesting series of paths. One of which I have been working on. I think what was it? Is it Birch? I think it's Birch. People really like Birch on the dev team, mostly because he's like a dictator. Like he becomes a dictator, or because he becomes a regime, but does it like in a surprisingly. Fun fact: I didn't know dictatorship is bad, but like he does it in a surprisingly not unreasonable way. In that all of Europe is basically against him. And that he feels that the only way Britain could survive is heavily militarized, no time for debate sort of stuff.
Mm.
And I think that's more interesting than making a dictator who's, like, at least for a narrative perspective, right?
I like the British path. One I think we should mention is that they can elect social conservatives.
Oh yeah, they can. There is a path where you become a British republic. Is that the NDP?
Yeah.
So the
It's,
NDP is what? So there's a big broad group of liberals, social democrats, and the social conservatives who are called the Democratic Alliance. And the way they get to power is basically by gaining enough independent groups while also pushing Labour into electing the corporativists, so the most moderate pro-market group of socialists. And in that jockeying, they win that power grab, right? In all the different institutions and things, and that then allows them to completely not bring back the monarchy. That is something that would have to be in a future mod if that's ever bloody happening, because the idea of just we're back to the Queen now would be ridiculous to a 40-year republic.
Yeah.
Oh, can I mention something about that? So look at Australasia. Look at Australasia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, yeah.
The Commonwealth of Australasia, that's the last holding place of the Entente. That's where Liz is currently queen.
I see.
That's where the British royal family lives. And if you go to open the map modes button, click the map modes button.
Yeah.
See spheres of influence.
If the debug bug won't, okay, yeah, here. This is interesting. So this is like all the, even if you're not a direct ally of the Reichspakt or the Fourth International, you can see the levels of influence in the world. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's Cold War. It's got to have something like that.
Yeah.
We also planned something with like a space race. We're using special projects where you can craft parts of a rocket or a satellite and then assemble them together to create a finalized product of a rocket and then launch it.
Awesome.
I think
and you can like go to the moon, and we also want to add going to Mars.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
The
thing that I love about the way that we seem to be going towards with the space race direction is that it does look like, rather than it being based around, this is America's space program, this is Britain's, this is this is Russia's space program, this is Chinese, Indian. Instead, it's more based on the alliances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the idea is that like the individual rocket parts or the engines or the satellites, they cost massive amounts of resources, like 200 steel, 300 steel, like maybe 300 steel and 100 chromium. So your alliance has to pool resources together.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially.
So like a Austria player and a Germany player could take different parts of the rocket and then make the rocket together is the idea?
Yeah, that's exactly the idea.
I want to add a way where they can donate resources to each other, just pool resources together to make one big rocket for the faction.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
like it also fits the theme of the world is so painfully divided in this scenario. Like, and I think it's such an interesting thing that isn't explored more, because most people, when they think of a space program, they think of explicitly national interests. When in real life, we nearly did have that universal space program between the proposal of Kennedy and Khrushchev. You know, the idea for a manned mission to the moon combining both Soviet and American technology. You know, and even having multiple shared astronauts.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think in this world it's a little more divided, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And Russia just took over the entirety of Andropov's realm, and now Russia is united under a democratic state. So that's a nice little ending for that. I also noticed that Italy, in its tree, managed to get Bulgaria and Romania on their side. So they have a very interesting resistance against the Reichspat. The French state and the Kingdom of Spain left the Reichspat. I don't know if Portugal was ever in it, but it seems like if they were, they're not anymore.
No.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
So I saw someone ask a question about the total collapse of the great superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is yes. Or at least that's what's planned.
Yeah, so I mentioned it in the video, but there's losing conditions for each of the three major factions. So
The idea,
you guys can go into that, yeah.
The idea there is that instead of having to just fight a third Weltkrieg, which is an option, you can ignite a third Weltkrieg past a certain date, which is 1968. You can, go to war and stuff and just duke it out. But there's also an alternative method where you can win the proxy wars, do well at home, do well in the home front, weaken your enemy, do lots of sabotage and win the subversive activities, as you said, and you can force your opponent in the Cold War to collapse. So, for instance, if America, say, wins in India, wins in South Africa, they win big in Middle Africa, they convert the New World to socialism, they do all this other stuff, and they're doing well at home, and the German player or the German AI isn't doing very well, then the German sphere can collapse into May 68, which was a real-life event. Mostly, it's not just around France, but it was a lot of other places in Europe, too, during the summer and that year of 1968 in Europe, where there were a bunch of student leftist protests and general discontent discontent in the area. And we wanted to use that as a basis for a European-wide revolution against the Hohenzollerns and the military dictatorship in Germany, which could be the end of the Reichspakt and their win condition for the USSR.
Cool. I tried to load another game and it told me that it couldn't load the map. So there's a little bit of a black screen right now. You can look at the Turkey images I pulled up earlier.
Yeah, just reload the game.
Yeah. I'm just gonna load up the game again. I'll be starting again from the beginning. There might be little map issues, but that's fine. Should be fine. Just a little more visual content while we talk about the rest.
I can yap about these maps if you want.
Yeah.
Fill out the space.
Yeah, sure. Just quickly. I know you were mentioning it before, but you were showing the administrative regions and the different levels of autonomies in the empire.
Yeah, the idea was that the mod team and me as well did come to the conclusion that an entirely unitary empire couldn't stand. The minorities, the non-Turkish population was not like that. But then the question was, how do we deal with that? What do we do? So the concept I came with is a two-house, a bicameral governmental system. The lower house, the Grand Assembly, is which is the parliament that passes the legislations and the laws, etc. But anything they pass has to then be passed by the upper house, which is the Senate. And the Senate is where the multicultural representation is happening. The concept is that the unitary provinces, the ILs, get to have 65% representation in the upper house, meaning each province sends a set number of representatives to the Senate, and their total count makes up the 65% of it, while the remaining portion comes from the vilayets and özerk vilayets, which means the non-Turkish population, at least the Arabs and the Christians, the Kurds and Greeks are in a rough spot here, get to have a representation in the highest parliamentary. And in the second map, I am sure many of you would question why is the Turkish boundaries are this big, because yes, it is not the case in real life. In Kaiserreich, the OHF has multiple actions, the decisions that the player can take to Turkify their frontier regions. For example, sending around 50,000 Turks to Damascus or Aleppo, as well as tens of thousands to Diyarbakir, the biggest city in the Kurdish region of Anatolia. Those policies, with the help of the oil money, which sponsors them, obviously, leads to an increasingly Turkified Anatolia, which is a major point of conflict within the empire. The Greeks in Cyprus and Kurds, especially in the Süleymaniye region, which is the region that borders Iran, are in strict classes, like the gun violence and the guerrilla movements are active in these regions. Aside from that, yeah, that's the map. Also, if any Arab from Syria, Iraq, etc., checks the cities in their respective countries, they will see the pronunciation and the typing of the cities to be false. That's because the Ottoman government, which uses Turkish, struggles to use the actual Arabic names, so they just butcher all of them, and their official names are like all butchered.
It's interesting. I
So
like that
that's
detail.
about it that I can talk about this map specifically.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that. But we're back in game now, so we can do a couple more questions. I've seen somebody ask if the British can support a syndicalist revolution in Ireland.
Yes.
Cool.
That will almost... That's a very easy one. Of all the places Britain would love to influence, you'll never guess which one.
I can tell, actually, in the beginning, the national populace had 37%, but at the end of the campaign earlier, they had like no popularity, and the rest of it was socialist. So that, yeah. So it seems like there's already stuff set up for that.
The British are poking around. Like, the truth is that there's also a very strange phenomenon in Ireland, actually, in this timeline. Left-wing unionism. In our timeline, in our history...
like in Ulster.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. In our timeline, generally, unionism is a broad brush, but I would generally be more hesitant to say that it comes more from the left, like Irish nationalism more comes from the left than it comes from the right. And sort of the reverse for unionism. In this timeline, due to the nature of a syndicalist Britain and a very right-wing Ireland, you end up with not necessarily a total, like flip to one side, but there's definitely much more of a left-wing presence within the unionist movement. Think of Belfast's like dockyard workers as an example.
Right.
Many of them would have been inner city, die-hard unionists. But it seems like the union's not doing too bad. Meanwhile, what do they got? They're stuck on from rule from Dublin.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a good natural consequence there, so that's pretty cool. Somebody's asking if Austria can disintegrate World War I style.
Yes, it can disintegrate Yugoslav war style.
Awesome.
I also saw a question about someone asking if there would be a United Arab Republic, and yes, that can happen.
If Egypt controls enough of the territory in the Mediterranean war, because I know they were saying that Syria goes to whoever can occupy it, and then even like it could even be that regardless of how well Egypt does, Italy would still want to have like Gulf presence for oil stuff and get their own.
Yeah, it
empire.
doesn't have to be like a full Arab republic at start, but it can form at least between Egypt and the Arabian Republic, which is supposed to be it's North Yemen, but we haven't finished that yet.
Yeah, and I imagine that if the Italians win the Mediterranean War, there'd definitely be a second phase. I don't suspect that the Egypt or United Arab Republic Italian alliance would last. Am I right in assuming that, or?
As long as the Italians have access to the Suez, they will be fine with Egypt.
Okay, cool. There's a
Bless
big
you.
gnarly sneeze. I hope nobody heard that.
Bless you.
Luckily, I think it
Fucking
cut
like the
out
very
right
beginning of
before.
it.
I pressed the
I
manual
heard it in
override
an
button.
audio.
Sorry.
Someone's asking about South Africa there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the question?
Why Cape Socialist Republic and not South Africa Socialist Republic?
The reason it's more
Yeah.
like location and generally trying to create a new identity, like not necessarily a new identity for that nation, but rather one like trying to create like a separate try to separate it from normal South Africa. So we added the word Cape, and it mostly occupies the Cape, and it is a new government, so one could say they would name themselves that. It's not like a permanent decision because South Africa hasn't been touched a ton. Besides some early development in the early days of the
My
mod.
guess is they'd probably they'd probably become the South African Socialist Republic once they've unified. Cape is
Oh,
it's
they
kind
do.
of like-
They do. They
Yeah.
become the South African People's Union.
It's because they don't own all of it yet. So it's kind of like, you know how like you used to call it Pacific States because it was in the Pacific, not because that was its actual name. That's kind of a good analogy.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, feel free to answer any other questions you see in the chat, because this is I've run out of my questions, really.
Well, that's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's good that people are engaging as well.
Yeah, let me see.
What would be a win condition for Japan against Germany? Have we covered that?
No,
They
we
don't
haven't.
fight.
So
They don't fight each other.
they do fight
Right.
each other, but like not as
Hey,
directly
Indy.
as either of them with the USSA.
Indy,
they do-
someone
they-
asked about an economic crisis. You should talk about that when you are finished.
What economic crisis? Like which one?
Exactly, like we can talk about them after you're finished because there are multiple.
I'm trying to load the stream to like on my computer. It's just not. Hang on.
But the question itself was something along the lines of, is there going to be something like the oil crisis?
Oh yeah, there can be an oil crisis actually. It can be. I think Uma can talk more about that.
I mean, after you are finished because you were talking about something.
You're talking about the
I don't
win
remember.
condition of Japan versus Germany, and vice versa.
There isn't really one, but the way you beat Japan is by taking away their colonies one by one and slowly robbing them of influence, and then like making sure they have crises at home, and then eventually they'll collapse into a military dictatorship that's sort of isolationist and paranoid about the world.
There is one question I can answer. Is a revolution in Bangladesh and Pakistan possible? Yes, it's already coded in.
Yeah, it's under development, like the fucking lore, but it's like it's kind of
Yeah. Let's. Yeah, everything's work in
Planned out,
progress
at
still,
least.
but yeah,
planned
like
out.
I can see it right now, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be expanded or anything like that in the future. Can France have another Cindy revolution? There's an IRL event May 68 that I think is the inciting incident for something like that to occur. So yes, but I think Jofiel might be able to explain more.
So historically, May 68, while starting in France and obviously being many people think of it when they think of France, May 68. was when students, protesters, and many others nearly effectively collapsed the government of France. Arguably, they did collapse the government of France because it forced, I think it forced de Gaulle back, didn't it? From my knowledge. Regardless, the situation with May 68 is that it can potentially be a European-wide uprising in a similar way to 1848 of our own, but this time of a both pro-socialist and anti-authoritarian bent. In this specific case, most likely a second French Revolution. This is not restricted to France, however. Belgium, with its own repression problems, alongside other nations across Europe, will have the potential to spiral with these May 68 crises. However, if well contained, perhaps it won't, and there might be more of a muted whimper than a defiant cry.
That's cool, yeah. Just taking a look at all the leaders and portraits if they exist, and then we have the Mediterranean war going on again. And here's the Bengal and Pakistan revolts in India. Somebody's asking if India can support Iran, and there was also a bunch of questions about what India would be doing when China does the War for National Emancipation.
India won't be
They won't be involved
India-
like this war, like with China and Japan. They won't really be involved with that much because it's like
Yeah,
a
most-
good like socialist side, so it's not really anything to like support.
India's not really offensive capable at start, but China
that's
can
true.
invade India,
Oh, interesting.
or possibly they might be able to invade India in certain cases and bring themselves to war with the Fourth International, but that's after they've already beaten Japan.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's like a really late game conflict then, so like around the 70s for climax potentially with America, depending on how well they do with the Americans here. I see the Americans in Hawaii are in the Japanese faction. What would happen if the Japanese faction were to collapse with China? Would the American Hawaiian government also collapse in that event, or what do you guys think?
They would immediately ally themselves with Australasia, but they would probably be much weaker and unable to sustain themselves for much longer. So it'd be a lot harder at that point to do what they need to do.
Oh, there's
but
a
they
Quebec
could maybe
war.
make it.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah, that's
I
a Quebec
would-
revolt. That's a Quebec
I
revolt.
would guess that you could see a very interesting situation where, Hawaii, so the American government modern exile, obviously tries to sort of befriend Australasia, and if things aren't solved within a certain amount of time, like there isn't a proper build-up and coordination, and they're able to find, I could very well see just some sort of native revolt collapsing the whole enterprise.
Yeah, that's most likely what's gonna happen.
Yeah, cool. What else do we got?
If possible, I can talk about oil crisis. There will be 2 oil crises.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I will be
Well-
right back.
Yes, sir. So me and another developer, Corvus, a good friend, we try to make some calculations regarding just how much of a power the Ottomans would have over the oil industry. And after we checked, he actually went to some real life library to find some very old sources. We made our calculations from 1960 to 1964, and we are still preparing them. So when we created that draft and then took USSA and Venezuela out of the global oil production, because these 2 nations, as members of the Fourth International, do not share their oil with the rest of the world. It's their own zone. So we essentially remove 40% of the global oil production from the global market. And then you calculate the Ottoman oil production, and the result we came to is the Ottoman Empire. This is still not the exact number, but it is around 50% to 60% of the oil in the global market comes from the Ottoman lands.
That's pretty.
And
Yeah.
and this is like has a massive effect in the Ottoman economy. The Ottoman Empire economically with the oil money as well as a well managed economic plan in a similar reference to Norway in the same way how they deal with their oil revenue has the empire turned into actually a very economic powerhouse. However, there are two ways that this can collapse. The first one is obviously the Mediterranean War. When the war starts, the oil trade will obviously take a very big hit because all those excavation sites, as well as the seas the ships used to travel, are unavailable now. So the war itself already causes an economic crisis worldwide, including Ottoman Empire itself, because it just lost one of its biggest revenues, which is the oil itself. And one of the main reasons why Italy attacks the Ottoman Empire is to hop on that, oil monopoly. So when the war ends, either Italy or a victorious Ottoman Empire will have to spend fortunes, or maybe not fortunes, but a considerable amount of wealth to restructure the oil trade and be able to use their resources again. The second oil crisis is not a guaranteed one, but it is a possible one. As I said, the USSA does not give its oil to the global market. It uses for itself, its domestic use, as well as for international. However, certain paths in the America will have the option to revert that and actually sell their oil production to the world. And this is huge because suddenly like a huge amount of oil goods, like 20% of the global market comes to the 20%, right? So the Ottomans loses a massive monopoly on the oil, and the Americans would be selling their oil in competitive prices, and that would be a huge interest even for Germany, because the Ottomans would be abusing their oil monopoly, and this will cause an economic crisis for the Ottomans specifically, while the first one is a more global crisis. I'm not sure if we have other economic crisis scenarios, but ones relating to the oil are these two.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think that I might be a little bit running on time. We'll need to wrap up. So maybe a couple more questions. But if we don't answer your question by the end of the stream, guys can go to the Discord for Twilight Struggle. I just linked it in the chat, and you can ask your questions to the developers there. But while we have the game open and I'm here, does anybody have any questions or anything that the developers want to share? No?
We can answer what the viewers say, or you can ask something for us to answer, but otherwise I don't want to take more time.
Yeah. Well, no, it's good stuff. You have good stuff to say. I did see a question about, like, at release, which nations are planned to have content.
Oh, so it's the majors, essentially. So the USSA, Germany, Italy, Russia.
The Russian state or the Russian Republic? Or both?
The Russian state. The Russian state.
Okay.
Japan and China and maybe a few others.
We'll see what we can do. I was planning on wanting to get Britain done, but I've been completely overwhelmed in real life, so that's probably... I think we'll have to have a specific Britain update, would be more reasonable.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think I'm good. I can't really think of anything. I'm just really excited to see what you guys do and if you implement the escalation mechanic or not. Oh yeah, there is one thing I did want to talk about. Indy, you were saying that you were adding like a new resource beyond chromium to
Yeah.
show like, yeah. Can you talk about that? Because I'm really excited.
Yeah, I just wanted
about
to talk about that.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we're adding 2 new resources actually: grain and cobalt. So cobalt in real life became very lucrative around the 1960s, as it was used in a lot of high-end computers, high-end machines. Very powerful alloy, and you could use it for like a lot of the stuff in technology that was used in the Cold War. So I thought we would add cobalt to the game. But the best part about it is that about 2/3 of all the world's cobalt reserves are in the Congo and in Middle Africa, which what is Middle Africa in this mod. So basically, Germany owns a monopoly on the cobalt and all of its, potentials as a resource. And so that will lead the other powers of the world, like USSR and Japan, to try and do some damage to Middle Africa to try and get their own piece of the share.
I believe actually Britain has an entire section just dedicated to potentially boosting the Pan-Africanist movement.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. So then the cobalt, it's gonna function basically the way that chromium does in vanilla, where it's for
like
really
a high
end.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a high-end resource.
So
high-end tech.
I'm really excited about it because it's expanding on the gameplay mechanics of Hearts of Iron 4 in a way that suits the time period, so that there's the chromium that could even be like a mid-tier thing for a lot of people now, but the chromium is going to be really lucrative and valuable, and then it really makes the Middle African conflicts that happen, like the South Africa war against them, make it more important for the other major factions like Japan and the American factions to get involved here and free up the market for chromium and things like that. So yeah, I think that's a really clever decision to make, and I'm really excited to see what you guys do. And then the grain one too is
grain is both a resource, but we also wanted to add it as like an upkeep modifier, kind of like in Black Ice, where you constantly have to keep your population fed, like make sure that there's enough grain so you don't like run into a starvation, or what's it called, like a famine.
Yeah.
And you'll have to like manage your what you do with your grain and how much you put into rations, because we added rations as an equipment that are mandatory to feed troops. Like they're necessary to feed and supply troops. Like almost all troop types use them.
Cool. Yeah. Fair enough. That makes sense. Yeah. Great. And then I did see one more question. Will German Middle Africa collapse fully or slowly, even if they win the South Africa war?
Slowly and painfully, but it speeds up. You'll see.
Cool. Will it be something that the players can directly interact with? And
unlike Cult of Krieg, you'll be able to fight the Middle Africa War.
Oh, like a direct proxy conflict volunteers and things like that.
You'll just be Germany during the war. I think if it escalates enough in Middle Africa, the Germany player will be able to just straight up intervene themselves.
Oh wow, well, that's really interesting. I'm excited to see that. Well, yeah, I think that this could be the end of the stream now. I saw some questions about Iran. I saw some questions about grain and the resources. But yeah, the Discord link, I'll send it again in the chat. But I wanted to give a special thank you to Indy, Jofiel, Orange, Umut for tuning into this stream and showing the mod and letting me get my hands on it. It was really fun working on the video with you guys, and wish you all the best. Do you have anything to say before we wrap up the stream?
No, but thank you so much for having us, and thank you so much for checking out my mod and doing that video on it. It was really cool to see it happen, and
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for working so hard on something really cool.
No problem. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you again for everyone. And if you guys want to talk to me a little more, I might stream tonight. I did an EU4 conversion of my CK3 game that I was playing every week. I'm moving my computer today, so I might not have it set up, but I'll let everyone know in the Discord. Yeah, well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope everyone has a good day.